Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. Merry Christmas or whatever you celebrate. Because of the COVID restrictions, my family celebrated a couple days ago, and it's important to keep up with the passage of information regardless of the specific day. During the last video, I broke down Chris Roberts' holiday letter from the chair, and I said that I would break down what Chris said about the new roadmap in his end-year letter. I'm also going to break down exactly how the roadmap is set up, meaning what's new, how to read it, and how it works. I'm going to break down what Xylo said in a post after the roadmap was released, and then in my next video, I'm going to break down what's interesting on the new roadmap, because that itself is a huge chunk of topic. It's important that you share this information with as many people as possible to quickly get up to speed, and that also obviously helps me grow the audience and reach more star citizens. Specifically to do with the new roadmap, Chris reminded us that what was said over the past 8 months is factual, that the old roadmap was having trouble properly conveying the development of the persistent universe and Squadron 42. He confirmed that nothing is ever linear in game development. Things are heavily codependent on others, and if one is delayed or set back, the whole line is set back. These seem like really big delays to us, the backers, but in reality it's one delay, not 10, despite looking that way. The new roadmap is broken down into features, content, and tech. There's an agile and dynamic deadline that is ready to adjust to the unknowns and ready to deal with that downstream ripple that I just spoke about. The TLDR from Chris was that the old roadmap wasn't able to correctly display the changing situation, which was leading to confusion and making the situation seem worse than it was. I think his assessment is pretty optimistic. Comment in the comments. The release view will seem familiar to you if you've used the roadmap in the past. It works almost exactly as before, broken down into quarters, and has a basic description about the milestone and what features are expected to be added in that corresponding patch. It also serves as a historical record of the past progress, and I ask you CIG to please keep this exactly as it is. Let us view the next patches with the past collapsed as it is and available if we need to reference it. The progress tracker is the new one. It's broken down into the sprints and should reflect 4 quarters out. There are 50 teams ranging from 4 to 20 people. The current version of the new roadmap is displaying only 20 teams, but the plan is to expand this in January. This extra time was needed to allow those teams to clearly define their priority work so it could be easily represented on this roadmap. The roadmap will be updated weekly at first with the goal of being bi-weekly, and because it's built down into drop-downs, it's super easy to add or remove parts as needed. They plan to add a search function, and they may also provide hyperlinks to individual features if needed. So the goal here is to show what the individual teams are working on for both PU and Squadron, but the biggest caveat here with this view is to remember that it's not intended to display an end date. The progress tracker is a stack of teams, and in those stacks, a stack of tasks that those teams are responsible for. The stacked tasks are allocated a time frame in weeks. Some tasks need to be done as the foundation for others. The number of developers or artists tasked is visible, and expanding that section breaks down the shorter-term goals as a bar and a description. It's actually pretty slick. Changing from 1-quarter view to 2-quarter view changes the scale from weeks to months, but the data view is essentially the same. I'm probably in the minority when I say that I'm a very simple person who likes to know what's going on, and although it's very complete, I really feel that this is total overkill. But I also know that to many backers, the old system wasn't enough. So I appreciate the extra effort, and if you're a super fan who wants to track the development in super detail, well, it looks like you may now have a tool that will let you do that, or at least version 1 of that tool. The release view is still intended to display 4 quarters. Only the nearest new quarter will be in detail and represent the go, no-go that we've heard of in burn downs from the past. The others are going to represent an overview of the planned cards. Chris confirmed that he doesn't want to put hard dates to any milestones because that's burnt him in the past. And cards will be added only if there's a strong likelihood that that feature will be finished in time for that quarterly release. So I feel I now have a good understanding of the new roadmap, how it works, what it's supposed to do, and how it will be updated in the future. I'm including links to whatever sources I feel are important from Ulf, Chris, and Xylo. At 6 p.m. on the 23rd of December, Xylo posted a lightning round Q&A, which I'm going to break down for you now. He confirmed that this Q&A wasn't complete, and he vowed to keep us informed in the future. The iCache and server meshing cards and tabs are missing on the current roadmap because they're part of what's called core tech, and that's going to be added shortly in January. There are still many more cards coming in the future with updates on this roadmap. Based on what Chris said through his letter, we're hoping that at least one of those makes it into the game before end of 2021. He confirmed that just because it's on the map doesn't guarantee it's going to release, something I'm sure we're used to by now. He said that if something would likely launch in a mid-patch, that there would be an X after the patch number, so 312X. And he also reminded us that just because a feature is listed as complete does not confirm that it'll be added to the game, as some features need others to work. The hull B on the list is an example that he used, but the up and downstream teams need to have a complete state for this ship to ship to us in a build. Xylo knows that we have certain milestones such as the Polaris or Pyro that we're eagerly expecting, and he reminded us to check both the progress tracker and the release view to get a good idea of when these things may come to us. And he confirmed that the typo on the Nova tank wasn't a typo, meaning that CIG has finally acknowledged Tonk as its true name. If you don't know why it's called a Tonk, stay tuned at the end. So as I alluded to mid-video, there is such a thing as too much information. However, if the information can be presented in an easy to understand and accessible format, if it's up to date and accurate, then there shouldn't be a negative. The task of tracking the progress seems to be much more cumbersome than we realized. It sucks that it took 8 months to put this together. It sucks that it generated so many memes with the roadmap jokes, and I feel that all of this could have been avoided or curbed with some better passage of information, but I also know that the community is really big and it's impossible to appeal to everyone at once. I've often said that I don't envy the job that Xylo or Jared do. Everyone thinks that they can do a better job. I don't, and I wouldn't want to try. I'm going to end by saying thank you to them for all of their efforts. Please stay tuned because, as I promised, I'm going to invest a couple hours into the actual content of the roadmap and break that down for you in the next video to give you a better idea of what's coming next. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.
It's a really big tank. It's bigger than many tanks I think exist right now. Tank upright in the tank. Tumbril apparently has been making tanks that it did tanks in the past. This is a super heavy tank. We got 3 different weapons on the Nova tank. We got a big ballistic cannon at the front, like most tanks that is on the tank. This is an heavy tank, so it have a big armor plate, like in some tanks that we know actually while you're inside the tank.